Get ready for a full strawberry moon happening during a Gemini year on June 29th, 2026 at 11:57 p.m. in the nighttime. We're using tropical astrology and we're using universal time coordinated. This is happening in lunar mansion number 22, which is a dewy or very moist mansion of the moon. Now, the archangel Uriel is the angelic being that holds the position of guardian angel over all of the earth signs of the zodiac, of which Capricorn is a cardinal sign. Pineal is the zodiac angel for the sign of Capricorn, the goat. The zodiac angel that rules over the air sign of Gemini, the twins, is named Umbriel. Also, the elemental guardian archangel of all the air signs is named Raphael. Lunar angel Jeliel rules over the 22nd mansion of the moon, which is in effect for this Capricorn moon under the influence of this mansion Stargates of Giedi, Prima, and Dabih. The combination of Saturnine Capricorn and Mercurial Gemini forms a mix of volcanic cardinal earth from Capricorn's fire of earth nature during a mutable air frequency from Gemini's water of air attribute, and it sort of generates a contrasting recipe comprised of planned practicality and unexpectedly mischievous antics. That's quite a combination. Remember, Capricorn is fire of earth, and that's the volcano. That's lava. That's what creates the earth as we know it. Now, the goat and the twins equally possess a great penchant for the aspiration of obtaining substantial success or noticeable achievements that other people will not only find remarkable, but also will give them a very, so they can be seen and have status. So that's very important to Capricorn. And also the broadening of community spheres of influence, Capricorn is also good at that. So it really is able to increase, again, the status. It's imperative for Capricorn. And also, on the other hand, the twins present a smart and sharp sense of humor, collective power, and flexibility. When Capricorn and Gemini interact, the things to be aware of that could form tension in the situation are merely the careful intentionality and the very well-designed and realistic qualities of the goat interacting with the inventiveness, the quickness, and the ad-libbing skills of the twins. So the twins can really put on, quite a good conversation, a good speech, a good performance. They can make it up as they go along. They're very good at that. Think on their feet. They're very smart, very akamai, especially when it comes to that. Capricorn could begin to feel trepidation. Okay, it could be, a little apprehensive over circumstances getting out of hand in a frenzied manner due to Gemini's lively, imaginative way of doing things. On the contrary, now Gemini might start to get a sense that their existence is being restricted, okay, for the reason of Capricorn's need to assemble, to have an assemblage, to arrange, and to manage events in a very disciplined and often inhibited way. So we have one, Capricorn's feeling kind of nervous about what Gemini is going to do next, and Gemini is kind of feeling restricted. So that kind of difference in opinion. But on the other hand, they really can both help each other with their aspirations, their dreams, and their desires to be brought to fruition. Capricorn can help manifest, and Gemini can also help get it socially talked about. Okay, and Lunar Mansion Al-Sad Al-Dabih is a mansion, this number 22 mansion, that affords practitioners of wizardry the power to get out of situations where they are being used as a type of sacrifice. An easy mark, or a pigeon. You've heard of that, pigeon pie. Now, Mansion of the Moon, Dabih, is about a double portion. Twin sacrificial goats, okay? This portion of the transit of Luna through the sign of Capricorn, the goat, is powerful and is powerfully increased during the Gemini, the twins year, because of this twin aspect. So keep that in mind as we move along through this. The stars Giedi, Prima, and Dabih are the stargates we access for the star magic opportunities when Luna activates this lunar mansion, and also favorable for captives to run away, thereby escaping imprisonment, being the mansion of the scapegoat. We mentioned the victim, the scapegoats, the sacrifice. If you are but they're twin goats. They're twin goats. If in lunar mansion number 22, this Dabih, if you are a jailer that has runaway prisoners, okay, use pictures or icons of a man wearing wings on his feet and a helmet atop his head to recapture and again incarcerate the escapees that have broken out of their captivity. This is one way to utilize this mansion if you're a wizard, if you're an occultist, any kind of conjurer, anybody who's into that kind of thing. And to escape your imprisonment. This is similar to the figure of the Roman god Mercury. You've seen Mercury with his hat, helmet of wings, and you've seen Mercury with his winged feet, his winged slippers, and you've seen him for Mother's Day too, okay? That's because it can also bring captives back. So if you use it with the intention and the pictures and the videos and the movies and the plays and the pictures or the descriptions to free a prisoner, then that's what will manifest. If you do it with an increasing to a way to bring these prisoners home, either increased detention centers or to bring prisoners home, to find them and bring them home, you can do that, but it's all in your intention and the kind of pictures that you have other people envision by making, again, videos or movies or TV shows or commercials or making paintings or describing it in a book. Whatever you put in the mind of your audience, and the bigger the audience, the more your magic manifests. So this is how these things, it works. Just the bigger the audience, the more you can get it out there and put it in front of people, the stronger the magic. And the more repetition, the stronger the magic. The more you repeat the same images or the same descriptions over and over, the bigger and more strong the magical effect is going to be. So that's how these things work. Now, so again, if you want to escape, you can do that. On the other hand, if you're a captive and want to escape your detainment center, then subsequently find security elsewhere, all the while stopping people from speaking evil of you. So having them not speak evil of you, if that's your goal. Then use the symbol of the mercurial god's image to do these things for you and ask the Lord of this mansion to do so. So you can not only, if you want to make it stronger and maybe you don't have such an audience, then you can ask the Lord of the mansion, whose name Giedi, and to help you to do these things. What we mentioned, to have them stop speaking evil of you and to want to escape your captivity and find security elsewhere and have people stop slandering you, then you can supplicate Lord Giedi to help you. Okay? So you can use the Lord of this mansion for that specifically. The angel can help you too, but if you want to ask, the Lord Giedi is really helpful. So this is from the shepherd. It's the shepherd who's the shepherd of the goats, okay? The shepherd is this lunar mansion, Dabih, in the sign of Capricorn, the goat, with lunar angel Jeliel or Lord Giedi. There's a movie that utilized this mansion for a lot of the theme, and that was the movie Rope, okay? And with John Dahl and Granger, I can't remember his first name, Farley Granger, I believe is the name of the two actors, Farley Granger and John Dahl were the actors. And they were the well, they weren't the twin goats. They were the ones they were the high priests that sacrificed the twin goats. The twin goats were actually the character Kenneth that came to a party, and there was his friend named David, who was almost a twin of Kenneth, Kenneth, I believe his name was Kenneth. Kenneth and David were twins. They looked alike. They weren't brothers, but they looked alike. And they were both blonde hair, fair haired. They were all in college. And the two sacrificial priests, characters played by Farley Granger and John Dahl, they did a sort of an intellectual exercise. It was horrible. They actually strangled their fellow classmate to death, and they put him in sort of some kind of a bureau that was, I don't know, I forget what they called them, but in those days it was done in the 40s. It was in Alfred Hitchcock movies. They put his body in there, and then they had a party on top of the foyer, whatever that, I don't know what they're called. It's like it opens and closes like an ottoman, but a really big one and a tall one. They actually put the dinner on there, and they put candles, like a sacrificial feast. And they even said that, a sacrificial feast. And they invited his girlfriend he was going to marry, that the girl was engaged to him, and they invited his parents, and they wanted to see if they could get away with it. I don't want to say the whole thing, but it's a lot of it. But anyway, all the images from this mansion were used in this movie. They were indeed the high priest who sacrificed one of the goats was sacrificed, the two fair-haired boys. One of them was, they were college guys. They were like probably in their 20s or something. Sacrificed, the one that was strangled was sacrificed, to die. And the other one was being given over to, he was going to be the one the girl would marry then, because that was her previous boyfriend who she still cared about. They were going to meet up. And it was the intention of one of the high priests, John Dahl's character, to reunite this woman with the other guy. And that's indeed what happened. He predicted it, and it happened. They got back together. Now, so there was the one goat gets sacrificed to death, and the other one to marriage. They're both a form of sacrifice. There's a lot of very deep, sort of dark magic in this movie and in this mansion. The mansion can be used in a not dark way or in a dark way. And we'll get here into talking about Leviticus here in a minute. I'll tell it to you now, since it is highly related, right? And also the angel's name Jeliel, but the Lord Gael, okay, and the name Gaylord, that's Gaylord, Lord Gael, that's Gaylord, okay. And there was an undercurrent that the two men who were the high priest that sacrificed the guy, the ones that they were friends, but they didn't say this, but there was an undercurrent that they might be romantically involved with one another, although they were both also had girlfriends. But there was an undercurrent of that. In the 40s they couldn't come out and say that, but there was an undercurrent of that, and that's Lord Gael. That's where that comes from. That's actually where that word comes from this mansion. So I'll read you Leviticus. It has to do with this mansion, and it's Leviticus 16:9-10, and this is from the Webster's Bible translation. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. So one of the goats was offered for a sin offering. That was the guy, David, that they strangled, okay, and laid in that sort of long ottoman thing that's, and that was higher than an ottoman, but a lot bigger, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, and the other guy presented alive, that was the other guy that they married off to the guy she used to go with, who was engaged to his friend, the one and they looked very much alike. And someone mistaked them for one another in the movie. It was a woman. She was a palmist and a tarot reader, much like myself, Mrs. Atwater, and she had mistaken the guy that was there for the guy that was actually not there, that for some reason hadn't shown up. They didn't know he was in that furniture piece, that he had been killed, but they didn't know that. That was the sort of supposed to be a dark joke that the guys who threw the party played on his guests. But anyway, Mrs. Outwater, the psychic, the astrologist, the palm reader. Oh, she was a palm reader and astrologist, not a tarot reader. Okay. Anyway, I liked her character very much for obvious reasons. But she said, she called one by the other one's name, and they said, oh, people always mistake them for each other. And I have a feeling, and this is just a thought, I have a feeling that the TV show Frasier was sort of based on this movie in a lighthearted way, and where, because Frasier's brother Niles looks a lot like the guy Kenneth that was the one that was the live sacrifice. He looks almost exactly like him. And Frasier, I suppose, might be the other guy. I don't know how. No, it wasn't Frasier, because in the new Frasier they have Niles' son David, and David looks just like the character that was strangled. They resurrected him, which is lovely. It's one of my favorite movies, Rope. I really like the movie for some reason. It's just done really well. It's Alfred Hitchcock. It was very sad, but it's done very well. And I like the acting in it. And I believe, there's an undercurrent that perhaps, or maybe just my wishful thinking, that David, that in Frasier, that Niles' son David, is indeed the David that was killed in the movie Rope, and that he's resurrected. Because he looks just like, he's got the same name, David, and he looks just like him. If you watch the movie Rope and you watch the guy in the beginning that they strangle, and then you watch Frasier and you look at David, his nephew, now his brother Niles' son, you will see that he looks a lot like David, and you'll see that Niles looks a lot like the guy that Kenneth, the other friend that got married off. And the whole thing takes place in an apartment with a wonderful view. And the TV show Frasier takes place in an apartment with a wonderful view. And there's another big thing they do in the movie Rope is they're wearing very lovely very beautiful men's suits. It's really about men's fashion and men's beauty. The men are very beautiful, and their fashion is very beautiful, and their suits are very, very lovely. And Frasier, in that show, it's in an apartment with a beautiful view, and the men all wear beautiful fashion and wear very gorgeous suits in that movie, in that TV show as well. So I think there is a similarity in something, and I think it's wonderful if there is some kind of tongue-in-cheek thing where they raised David from the dead and brought him back to life, then I applaud that, because that was very sad. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's very redemptive. Okay, so continuing. Now, Luna, when we're in this mansion number 22, Al-Sad al-Dabih, Luna will be transiting Capricorn 0 to Capricorn 12 degrees 51 minutes and 22 seconds, according to Abraham. And the stars to wish upon inside the 22nd mansion of the moon, Al-Sad al-Dabih, are named, as we mentioned, Giedi, Prima, and Dabih, and they dwell in the right or southernmost horn of Capricorn, in the left eye of the goat, respectively. So one in the southernmost horn and the other one in the left eye. Okay, and these two stars originally seen as parts of a scapegoat, or the escape goat, also called the Azazel goat, being the lucky one of the slaughterers. Okay, lucky one of the slaughterers is what that means. Okay, Al-Sad al-Dabih. So understand that the lucky one of the slaughterers, the two priests that killed the goats, and like I mentioned in the movie, or they sent one into the wilderness to get married and the other one to be slaughtered. Okay, understand that's the name of this mansion. Okay, so I really do think it's connected. Okay, and that is chosen. So again, the scapegoat is the one chosen to be driven out into the wilderness to carry away the sins of the people, while the other H.O.A.F goat is sacrificed as a burnt offering to the deity. So see, one sent into the wilderness, marriage to the lady, and then the other one, a burnt offering to the deity, or he was killed in some way, right? Okay, so now traditionally in various Abrahamic religions, someone innocent has to be sacrificed, and another innocent driven away into the wilderness so that the guilty are able to live through placation to a creatrix or a creator, some kind of deity. So in all of the Abrahamic religions, like Jesus is a lamb sacrificed, somebody innocent so that the guilty can live, and our sins are put on him in his name, and he was sacrificed, he was killed. Okay, that's done in Christianity. And in the Judaism, they would use goats in this manner or lambs in this manner, not people. I don't know in Islam exactly what they do. I heard from there was a preacher who I think used to be Islamic and became Christian, that they do a similar thing, maybe to what the Jews do. I'm not sure. I don't want to say because I don't know, but I believe this is often a belief in the Abrahamic religions. I don't have the exact sacrificial information. If it indeed is in Islam, I don't know. I should look that up. Anyway, ask the angel of Alpha Capricorni and Beta Capricorni, and that's Capricorni. My mom used to tell me I was corny all the time. Anyway, and she was right. But anyway, Alpha Capricorni and Beta Capricorni are Giedi, Prima, and Dabih. Those are the other names for them. So ask the angel, who was named Jeliel, remember the Lord Gael, to bind evil tongues to prevent people from slandering you and to escape from enemies. Now, sorceresses and sorcerers fashion renderings depicting healing the sick of their ailments, or detainees being emancipated or running from situations in which they have been held confined or enslaved, according to Agrippa, who reveals man to the moon number 22 is being named Sadahacha, or Zoboluch, or in some cultures Zandalina. Or Agrippa also discloses that for the purpose of assuring that vassals, serfs, or captives remain locked down and safely in custody, that magicians should create from iron an emblem of a man having winged feet, sporting a helmet atop his head. Thus, a symbol is made portraying, again, the Roman god Mercury. It's Hermes to the Greeks, Mercury to the Romans, to strongly maintain possession of attendants, retainers, and captives. To bestow yet another pertinent aspect to this mercurial magical talisman, the substance of argent vibe is then added to this sort of talisman. So you add the argent vibe, and it's also called quicksilver. Argent vibe is also called quicksilver or mercury. Now, although most people should avoid using mercury or quicksilver in their magical operations due to its toxicity, okay? Now, some persons or organizations are authorized to use this substance, so you may or may not be authorized to use it. Nevertheless, one example I can give you of how you can use mercury in a magical talisman, you might understand that you can use glass and a mercury and glass thermometer, and it has the effect of not only indicating the temperature of one cared for, when they're ill or something, but it also holds the magical property of safekeeping those in custody. Okay, so not only are you using the glass and the mercury talisman to take their temperature, but you're keeping them in your custody. So it does have that magical effect, and people whose temperature you're taking, they usually don't go anywhere. They usually stay with you, huh? And that's why the Roman god Mercury is used for Mother's Day. Go out and get those people to come home and take their temperature and keep them home for a while. Now, according to Kabbalistic lore, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Capricorn birthstone is garnet. I also have, you can go check out my other videos that I have on Wish Upon a Star videos with Lunar Mansion number 22, and you can find that I've also added a section about how you can also use not only garnet, but you can use specific, not just specific to Capricorn birthstone garnet, but you can also, once all the things you can use for metals and for other types of substances you can use to make rosaries or amulets or talismans for the metal. that you might use for amulets or necklaces or rosaries. And you can find out in that video that I made how you can make talismans for jewelry and rosaries and also other types of magical amulets or magical talisman. All right. Now, star magic opportunities from Star Angel Giedi, which provide powerful forces to you to acquire your objectives when Capricorn moons Al-Sad, Dabih, Stargates of Giedi, Prima, and Dabih are activated by Luna, according to Ashmo, are the following. Attire yourself in freshly purchased clothes. Procure goods. Nevertheless, be sure to go on expeditions only during the evening, though well before twilight. Purchase neither any retainers, attendants, nor employees. Of this be gravely forewarned. Gravely forewarned. Engage not in matrimony, because if you do during this mansion, you and your spouse shall become separated, and subsequently you will perish no less than 6 months prior to the death of your partner. In addition to another admonition regarding nuptials, if you get married during this mansion, your spouse and yourself shall become estranged from one another, and your partner will behave badly towards you. Acquire friends, associates, and contacts on a happier note. In the event that you are captured, you will swiftly abscond and get away on an even happier note and go aboard seafaring vessels to keep you safe. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. See you next time.